You're listening to Conquering Retirement with Annuity FY. Real strategies, real stories, no sales pitch. Join Tom Hamlin and his expert guests so that you can make smarter moves faster. Hit that subscribe button and let's conquer retirement together. Good morning, guys. Welcome. It's nice to see you both today.
Hi, Meg.
I feel like it's been forever.
It's been too long. It's been too long, and thanks for taking some time backstage to help me with my microphone. That input was very valuable. I couldn't have done it without you.
Well,
no pun intended. He needed to plug in his headset input.
Got it.
Input.
Well, thank you again for joining us on Conquering Retirement with Annuity FY. Again, I have my wonderful colleagues and friends here, Tom Hamlin, CEO of Somerset Wealth Strategies. And, he's been in the annuity and financial world for about 35 years. I also have Brian Hamlin here. He goes by Hammy number 2 oftentimes, and he is also an annuity specialist here and a colleague and great friend of mine. So welcome both of you. I'm Meg Odermatt.
Thank you, Meg.
Supervise the boys today.
Thanks, Meg.
Great.
Wonderful. Well, Tom, I had I had a great topic today. You and I were on the phone with a client and a new client, and we've been doing some financial kind of planning for her, but she, she's been kind of struggling with a question, and so oftentimes it's something that you have to repeat over and over again because it's important. But we're trying to dial down how much money she'll need in retirement. So that sounds like a simple question, and it might be different for everyone. But is there a formula?
So there's a great article that I've been using since 1999. I may have mentioned it in another podcast. It was from the Wall Street Journal, Jeffrey Bobroff, and it was really more or less the introduction of the Monte Carlo simulation theory. And it's a vertical horizontal graph, years in retirement, withdrawal rate going down the left-hand side, years in retirement across the top. And essentially, you're looking at, if you have 25 years of retirement, you're looking at approximately a 4% withdrawal rate, adjusting it for inflation annually. So that's 40,000 per million, and that 40,000 per million is pre-tax. That's pretty depressing to think of it in terms like that. Fortunately, right now, we can do a lot better than that, I believe. You can receive payments as high as 8, 9, even almost up to 10% guaranteed for life, depending upon someone's age, of course. The fixed indexed annuities that are paying out the highest rates right now are gender neutral, so it benefits the ladies because they tend to live longer than us. So you could pocket that extra money. You could take that 4%. Or the 9, take the extra 5 and build your own COLA, cost of living adjustment, and you could have the excess dollar cost average into VOO, which is the best and most efficient way to purchase the S&P 500 as an example. And you could dollar cost average into that with the excess every month and keep doing that. And as that article from 1999 says, and if anybody would like it, it's called Playing the Right Retirement Cards. You could probably find it online. If not, you can ask us. We'll send it to you. But it's about 4% adjusted for inflation annually, to answer your question, Meg. But there are ways that you can significantly outperform that right now with annuities. And I'll pause right there.
Well, you make a good point. I'll mute my phone here.
Only good
on the so the 4% rule. CNBC, I sent it to you guys. They actually just recently made an article how And there is a lot of talk about this right now. Is the 4% rule as effective as it was when it was first introduced? It used to be.
It's probably less effective, Brian, and I'll tell you why. Because number one, people are living longer than they were back in 1999, even if life expectancy's gone down over the last 2-3 years because of COVID. That should straighten itself out. And if we have a healthier America, we should also be living longer, taking out red dye number 40 and a few other things, hopefully, out of our diets. But I would say it would actually be lower than that, because back in 1999, fixed interest rates were higher than they are today. And right now, they're higher than they've been over the last 23 years,
Well,
with the exception of late 2008, early 2009.
Christine Benz, she's at Morningstar. She's the director of personal finance and retirement planning. And she said the 4% rule is a reasonable starting point, but retirees can generally deviate if they're willing to be flexible with annual spending, which in my mind, I mean, that basically means, well, 4% is a good starting point. Just be ready to spend less if the market goes down. And that's challenging when you're already looking
where you don't want to be.
You're looking at 40,000 on a pre-tax at a pre-tax level, and you have to be okay with that going down from there. I find that challenging.
Yeah, it's be prepared to spend less and don't get sick. Don't go to the hospital.
Yeah.
No outside
Right.
expenditures.
Well, people will, as that article from 1999 says, if things don't go well, people will adjust their spending habits. I'd love to send that out to folks, but here, let me just say this. It's the sequence of returns, not the average returns. And if you started out with lower performance that graduated into better performance, as we did over that time period, you had gone through a lot of your savings by the time the good returns had rolled around. And you could have not sustained nearly the withdrawal rate as if you ran those numbers in reverse. You could have taken out like over 11% if you started with 1998's much better returns and then worked your way down to 1969's lower returns. So the bottom line is it's the sequence of returns, and you want to remove that. So you definitely want to have buckets of fixed accounts that you can access. And that's where having a good or great fixed indexed annuity with a guaranteed lifetime income provision to take care of and supplement Social Security, a pension or two, maybe some income off of a rental property. It's a great way to guarantee lifetime income and remove the sequence of returns. And I'll tap the brakes there for a moment.
Do you think that it's a good strategy? You're talking about fixed indexed annuities. Do you think it's a good strategy to purchase one before retirement and allow it to grow, or purchase one at retirement?
Yes.
Great question. Yeah, absolutely what he said. The numbers are remarkable. I mean, if you purchase a fixed income annuity with a guaranteed lifetime income benefit, and you were 50, and you deferred for 10 years, just 10 years to 60, you're not even at, you can't even start collecting Social Security, on the early side by that point. The numbers are right around 13 to 15% based on the original premiums. So that's $13,000 to $15,000 per year. If you invest 100 at 50 and start drawing at 60, that's insane.
Yeah, you can do it. There's nothing wrong with doing it on an immediate basis, especially if you go the guaranteed lifetime income route, because that payment's being guaranteed forever. But the problem is, well, first of all, if you did it earlier, then it's going to be a lot more cost effective. You're not going to have to put as much into the annuity. You can put more in other places, outpace inflation at a greater amount, things like that. Not everyone goes the guaranteed lifetime income route. Lots of people use fixed indexed annuities as a way to just have a more predictable spend down in retirement because your principal's not being impacted, right? So the market goes down 20% in a year, you're not subject to that same 4% rule.
I just ran the numbers. 100,000, 50-year-old, doesn't matter if you're male or female. Again, these always benefit the ladies more because of life expectancy, but that's a generalization. 15.15%. You put in 100, wait 10 years, guaranteed lifetime income, 15,155.
Yeah.
Is that
That's
based on a certain age, or is that
60, 50,
Okay. Oh,
50 to
got it.
60 deferral, 100K, 15,000, 150 per 100,000. So, while you guys chat, I'm going to run another quote here. I just want to see what the ROI is. If that person lives to 90, might be a long life expectancy, but I'm going to see what that does. I'm going to switch that to 2035 and take out 15,150.
That's
And
great
I'm going to
narration
assume
while you run the quote
31.
and then narrate.
Thanks, Sammy.
That's wonderful.
Are you being facetious?
I'm being facetious.
That's not nice.
If you didn't opt for a lifetime income, you're also going to want to wait. And actually, I would say even more so because you're going to want time for interest to accrue in the account. Uh, the way that these fixed indexed annuities work is that they're going to credit interest annually. So if you bought one immediately and started pulling out, you're just pulling your own principal out. So, these can be great tools for income planning, but you have to know how to implement them correctly. So that's
Ready for the
something
rate?
that's important. I'm ready for the rate.
7.14% IRR. That's a compounded annualized rate of return. If you buy it at 50, you start the income at 60, you live to 90. So live to 2065, start the income in 2035, 7.14%, A-rated, excellent carrier. And there's another A-rated excellent carrier right behind that one.
Yeah.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah, that's
Extraordinary.
good. That's
So,
good.
diversification is always the best strategy. There's something called the 8 eternal truths of investing, and diversification is one of them. Another one is CDs and money market accounts will not make you rich. Right now, I think there's something like $7 trillion in money market accounts. That's a temporary solution to a long-term problem. And now is the best time to invest in your future. And that's a great example. You combine that strategy with VOO, S&P 500, QQQ, NASDAQ 100, and a few stellar lifer stocks, and you're all set.
There's going to be a lot of important things when you're talking about income. Where do you live is going to be a huge determinant in how much monthly income that you need. Do you rent or do you own your residence? If you own your residence, do you own it free and clear? Do you have a mortgage payment? That's a huge one because the mortgage is going to be one of the biggest expenses that you have. Do you have other debts? Do you have a car loan? Do you have other types of loans? These are all going to impact your monthly, how much you need in terms of monthly income for retirement.
Real quick, that's a really good point you make. Sorry for the interruption.
It's okay.
But the point here that you're making, a good one, usually when people retire, the house is paid for. And if they're renting, that's bad news because rent is going to continue to go up. If you paid your house off or it's close to being paid off or will be paid off in 5 or 10 years from the time you retire, if it's not already paid off, you don't have rent anymore. You have property taxes and you have the same other bills, a small amount of insurance, depends on where you live, and utilities, that's relative. So the bottom line is the biggest differentiator when it comes to wealth in this country, at least it's been for many years, is what they call the American dream, home ownership. So own your home, pay it off over 15 to 30 years. If that's your lifetime, home, if that's your forever home, and then you won't have that variable in your life in terms of renting. But then some people do so well, they sell their house at a later age, and then they move into one of these facial places that we didn't used to have, which are wonderful. You can start off in the in the independent living portion of a place, and then you can go from there. You can go to assisted living, all that. But you'll have that all budgeted at that point in time.
Yeah, the home's a big one. There's also a few other things very quickly. Your expenses can reduce around the retirement age, and that's simply because if you do get to a point where your house is paid off, you have kids, they become independent, you may not need quite as much as you did in your peak earning years. That said, I might go out on a limb here and say that you're going to want to do things you want to enjoy the fruits of your labor in retirement. What are your hobbies? What does a perfect day look like for you? Do you like to golf? Do you like to play tennis? Do you like to fish? Do you like to travel? What do you like to do? And you're going to want to incorporate those, even the discretionary items, into your monthly income, of course, because that's an opportunity that we can plan around. You don't want a retirement where you can't enjoy the things that you love to do, and you have to sit in the house and tighten everything down in terms of expenses. So you want to account for just everything in that regard as well. So
That's great.
I agree.
Well,
Everybody
I,
needs a bucket list.
Coming full circle, one of the takeaways for me is, try to establish a financial planner, find an advisor, call us after the show. We're happy to help anybody. We love helping people, so feel free to call us or, and see if we can help, or you can ask questions, in the comments here. But I do think that it's easier if you do it with someone else that knows what they're doing, that has experience.
Yep.
So, I
Time
think,
is your best asset. Time is
Great.
the best asset that you have. And if you've waited too long, we can still help you. But if you're younger, save. Treat your savings like a bill.
Hey, worst case scenario is you get an income plan and you say it sucks, and then you know what a bad income plan looks like. So there you go. That's it's all I don't know. Good stuff. It's worth doing an analysis on.
Well, guys, I'm sure we will touch on this at another date, but today, it has been great. I appreciate your time, and thanks again for joining me.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you, Brian.
We'll talk next time with
We'll see you next
new
time.
fun topic.
Thank you.
Have a great one.
Great.
That's a wrap on this episode of Conquering Retirement with Annuity FY. Ready to take control of your future? Call 1-866-223-2121 to speak with one of the guests on our show and get your questions answered today. Visit annuityfy.com for more information and to contact us online. Follow the show and make sure to turn on notifications so that you'll never miss a tip, strategy, or breakthrough moment.